I am of the pure mind of God. I am the resurrection and the life in my body, my finances, my relationships, and my world. I qualify everything in my world with perfection. I am perfection. I am this perfect day, and the life that lives in me is the light that cannot fail. I accept only God's perfection, His good, in my outer circumstances. I know in my heart that God is all in all. I am absolutely not concerned about what happens, because I know wonderful things are happening now.
Chapter 9, Trust, the most powerful force in the universe. This chapter is titled, How to Manifest Money. Time to wake up. When it comes to producing a harvest, or what you would call manifesting money, the trend is your friend. There is a saying that I remind myself of often. The markets are always right. However, this only applies to free markets that are not artificially manipulated and propped up like zombies. In this case, zombie corporations and trillions of dollars in fiat dollar printing eviscerate the value of the dollar itself. Asset prices soar to all-time highs, and the underlying currency gets debased, causing a hidden theft of people's wealth. One day, an analogy that I saw in my head that drove the idea home is to picture a bathtub with some sand particle residue scattered across the tub. Naturally, if you wanted to consolidate all that sand into one place, say down the drain, you flood the tub with currency or water and then let the current do the rest. The sand will get swept away, and the vacuum of force down the drain will suck it all in like a black hole. People holding on to their debt assets, it's kind of an oxymoron, holding on to debt, are representative of the grains of sand that are sitting in the tub. For example, a married couple with 2 kids who have a mortgage on a $350,000 home and 2 finance vehicles. The borrowers agreed to pay the bank multiple times the value of these loans underlying the assets. Now, the water in the tub starts pouring out, and trillions of dollars of fiat currency are flooding into the market. What goes unnoticed to the financially illiterate is that all this currency consolidates its force in the black hole drain. The wealth of the people is going to get drained as their holding power gets diminished. It pays to think outside of the box of conventional ideologies when it comes to getting ahead regarding finances. That's what this chapter is all about. A perfect example of this is how I set up Argain Capital's DFY blockchain hedge fund. Keep in mind, I'm not soliciting you or giving you financial advice. You're reading my opinions, and our fund is for accredited and qualified investors only. Our fund focuses on blockchain tech cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. My colleague, nicknamed Cherokee, has excellent advice I want to share. Cherokee attended Cornell University and helped consult for one of the largest Bitcoin transactions in the billions of dollars. He has been trading these markets for several years now. Cherokee performs all the selection and balancing in our managed fund. What I've learned from him is one of the best pieces of wisdom I've ever learned. This advice came to me in 2018 when Bitcoin had just plummeted from approximately $20,000 to around $3,000. Cherokee was letting people know that the time to buy was when the asset was severely undervalued and not near the peak of excitement when prices surge and FOMO, fear of missing out, drives market prices higher. He told me, Matthew, I cringe all the time because people ask me what to do to get into profits, and I let them know this. Your potential profits are a measurement of risk, locked in when you buy an asset, not when you speculate or guess on the future. Risk is a number, a calculation. Bearing this in mind, when you consider manifesting money, do you ever assume that there is a calculation of risk involved? and you can make this calculation? Now, if you're completely clueless and want to remain like most people who are like pelicans with their head in the sand in regards to what money is, any law of attraction book should suffice. For ignorance is with the denial of wisdom, and the bliss contained therein is mere drunkenness. This chapter aims not to cipher the intense mathematical calculations and arduous complexities that Cherokee uses to stay in alpha, beast mode. Cherokee's passion led him on his prestigious Ivy League education and years of mentorship, training in cryptocurrency trading. Who would want to endure such burdens when hiring someone like Cherokee is more realistic? Hence why I hired him for our fund. You see, the simple shortcut is this. People are out there who are a heck of a lot smarter than you, and because their reputation is essential, they are here to help you get ahead. The irony is, most people get carried away in their false assumption that short-term success equates to long-term proficiency in a subject they misunderstand entirely. What I'm getting to is competency does matter. And if you have a team on your side, the victory is far simpler. With that in mind, if we shift our focus from manifesting money to getting to know the right people, now you're starting to see with real eyes how things work. Sure, all these lottery winners who promote themselves on social media and argue they can teach you to do the same with the law of attraction are selling their course. Great. Try it. If it works, then the same principle applies. We live in a universal idea, okay? It's an idea universe. And the secret to manifesting money is merely an idea away. You never have a money shortage, you have an idea shortage. A great example is why I listen to Max Kaiser and follow his work. He was telling his audience to buy Bitcoin when it was a few dollars per coin or less. Max asserts that thousands of people worldwide became millionaires by taking his advice. So what happened? Those who were in alignment with becoming wealthy were on the same frequency, and an idea came that brought the riches of a new manifest creation along. Aside from this, I'll add on to now say that it's not what you know, but who you know that makes you wealthy or impoverished. You are listening to someone, and you ought to be sure these people are congruent with your highest vision. Otherwise, dump them at once. This discipline to decide who needs to go and rid yourself of them immediately cannot be understated. You will earn the average of your 5 closest friends or influences. Whoever is getting ideas in your head determines the success or failure of your ability to reach your goals. Adding to this, if you're listening to modern-day music that is mostly mind control for the masses, it's not a benign act. I repeat, the ideas getting in your head will determine your outcome. Man becomes what he repeatedly hears. Get comfortable listening to affluent individuals and begin to adopt their language. Dress like them and stay in their orbit. Beware of the trickster mainstream media shills who are wolves in sheep's clothing. Many mainstream talking heads get propped up with fame in the same way the music industry icons are. A dumbed-down public is necessary for a system seeking totalitarian oppression, dictatorship, and neo-feudalism. If the mainstream people you are listening to aren't getting you richer, remember this rule. Results are the only thing that matters. Drop them for new ideas to begin flowing into your consciousness. Your family and the ability for you to prosper is far more important than fitting in with the herd that blindly marches to the tune of oppression. Being successful requires the loss of unsuccessful people and adopting the attitude to make results more critical than conformity. People conform when they are weak-minded and emotionally damaged from a low degree of stability in handling this world's negativity. Inside, they know the burdens of their surrender to fear have ruined their hopes and dreams. Nothing soothes these people more than making sure you don't irritate them by exposing them as weak. Their outer actions usually are exaggerated as bold and self-righteous, but you can hear them coming a mile away because it sounds like their pie hole is a loudspeaker for what's on the mainstream fear agenda for this week. If you want to fail on every level, surround yourself with these individuals. Allowing them to get in your head will amplify the fear in you and put you in an invisible cage that requires heroic courage to escape. I was once mired in this lunacy with a groupthink mentality in a workspace, and it was the resulting anxiety disorder I developed that caused me to quit the job and start anew. I had to get away from these nut jobs, and guess what? To this day, the same people are doing the same jobs and earning the same, actually it's far less when you consider all the fiat money printing today, far less pay. They keep each other in check and make sure nobody rocks the boat to expose the other as a weak-minded beta fish. They all eat each other up and smile with their politically correct tolerance of one another. Groupthink is deadly toxic, and if you manage to escape sane in the process, it's probably a good idea in my opinion. Be not conformed to this world. When it comes to acting on ideas, the concept of state management comes into the picture. How you manage yourself in the vibrational alignment you hold is state management. It makes zero sense to enter the boardroom meeting unprepared, and it makes even less sense to start your day without consciously setting your vibration. After all, the big idea here is to create your perfect day and repeat it so it becomes the ideal lifestyle for you. Money tends to flow quickly into our experience when we are happy and ready for more. Being happy and ready for more is the ultimate vibrational alignment to increase supply into your life. Once you feel free from the demands and stressors of chaos-filled living, which makes your vibration plummet, by the way, you can scale up being happy and ready for more. In fact, at the end of this book, in Chapter 10, when you learn how to perform sets or self-entrainment technique and bring forth the perfect state for what you're looking to achieve, dialing in joy as your fruit of the Spirit to express is the answer. There are few things better in this world than living in a way where you decide to follow the fastest path to joy in every moment. You see, amid the hustle and grind of modern-day living, money has practically nothing to do with the useless activities most people repeatedly perform in their state of being in servitude to money. As people are conditioned to be slaves to money for nefarious reasons by those who have free access to all the money, they get tricked by old, worn-out traditions of men. These traditions of men are utter nonsense and won't go away so long as people cannot think for themselves. Again, referring to weak-minded individuals with collective beehive slave think. Saturating yourself with these people around you will guarantee that your joy eviscerates as well as the sense of freedom and wonder for life. All those things mentioned are the dialing in alignment. I'll repeat them. Your joy and your sense of freedom and wonder for life are the dialing in alignment for receiving good from the universe, or allowing, as I call it. When someone wants to learn how to manifest money, I aim to inspire them to create new habits that make their income adjustment a permanently increasing part of life. A temporal solution is often the disappointment of never owning the satisfaction that one deserves who put in the work. I'm going to show you how to put in the work. The work is all about perfecting your thought, aligning vibrationally, and designing the perfect day. Once you can repeat these actions, the new habits become a new destiny. Otherwise, you end up being a broke person with a one-trick pony event of some lucky or random manifestation. Consistently demonstrating ever-increasing supply is the science of self-discovery. The most gratifying work in existence is to get yourself sorted out. The increased supply of money and all good things is an excellent scorecard. The first step to begin your process will be about getting very specific about what you desire. Choose an income goal for the next 30 days and decide to put all the hard work into being the person who has this wealth now. The money will come. This is as certain as the sun will rise in the morning, but don't chase the money. make money chase you. Get out a pen and paper and a piece of scratch paper, if you will, something to write on, and you're going to carry it with you for the next 30 days. I keep mine in my wallet. You're going to write down an I am statement, affirmation, written in the present moment experience of having attained the desire already. In fact, without leaving any room for error, I will write you this prescription for prosperity, and you rewrite the words on the piece of paper that you're going to carry for 30 days. Each time you look at this piece of paper, your hard work, trust me, most people can't even do this because they think it's not worth it. Ego self-sabotage. Your hard work will be to focus on these words with a quiet mind. Letting these words sink into your heart as you feel happy and ready for more inside, radiating love and gratitude to your mighty I am presence within you. You have to become disciplined to stop being adulterated and convinced that your reasoning mind has all the answers. Let's face it, if your ego mind and its logic had the answers, you'd already be swimming in money and living your dream life. Your greatest enemy and most likely cause of failure will be the arrogance of your ego mind and the irrational reasoning you've accumulated about how you think life is supposed to work out. Your preconceived notions about who, what, where, when, why, and how are all garbage. Unless you're presently demonstrating what you say it is you desire, you haven't got a clue. To stop pretending that you're too busy to do what I will suggest you do is the willingness required to perform a miracle. So write this down on your piece of paper. Here is the statement that I carry. I am surrounded by lavish, rich substance. I am so happy and grateful that I now know that God's substance is my infinite supply. I am now receiving a large, steady, dependable, and ever-increasing supply of money as God's substance shapes itself around me to clothe me in abundance. I am rich. I am free. I am loved. You are free to rewrite this in any way that suits you, so long as the main points are considered. Number 1, God's supply is spiritual substance from within. Number 2, the feeling place is happy and ready for more, living from joy. Number 3, you are asking for God's or source, whatever you call the infinite presence, mighty I am within yourself. You are asking for this substance to appear as money. Your prescription is to do the following exercise for the first 5 days. In each new segment of your day, look at this piece of paper and let the ideas sink into your deeper mind by constant repetition and reflection upon these truths. For example, let us look at my daily segments and you'll get the idea. 8 o'clock, I wake up. I read the piece of paper in my wallet, slowly and with a feeling of appreciation for having already received. 10 o'clock a.m., I finish writing. I repeat the process. Open up my wallet, read my piece of paper, slowly and with a feeling of appreciation for having already received. 1 o'clock p.m., heading to the gym and about to start a workout. Again, repeat the process. Read the piece of paper in my wallet slowly and with a feeling of appreciation for having already received. You're getting the point now. Number 3 o'clock p.m., about to start more work at the office. Repeat the process. It takes about a minute each time. 4:30 p.m., heading outside to do a run. Repeat the process. 7 o'clock p.m., ready to begin working on video editing. Repeat the process. 10 o'clock, getting ready for bed. Repeat the process. You can see here that I put in about 6 repetitions or so of viewing this piece of paper and applying perfect execution, not rushed or half-hearted, in about 1 minute per each reading and feeling of the I am statement. That's a total of 6 minutes each day. Let's be clear here. You're not going to accomplish this consciousness shift in 1 day or even 5 days. Sorry. If that's your goal, just buy scratch-off tickets and get the instant dopamine rush of wishful thinking based on a faulty premise. You cannot get something for nothing and expect to keep it in your life. Again, being the person with a one-off lucky streak and selling the course about how you won the lottery once or some other stupid false premise is fool's gold. You want to shift your consciousness from being outer kingdom adulterated by human reasoning and linear tick-tock timing, which is an excellent metaphor for the human attention span, less than a goldfish, fewer than 8 seconds, to a silent and imagination-focused mind that reflects joy. Your reasoning mind is like a couch potato that sat on the sidelines of life and watched TV, quite literally, and became insane with hypnotic propaganda aimed at waging war on truth. The outer kingdom of material fashion form is enmity against God and the fact that your supply, your life, your substance is spiritual and not influenced by any other power. Your mortal fiction idea is that your income derives from your job, your customers, your talents, or your labor. Within this idea, your wealth attraction parameters are now subject to 2 powers, good and the obstruction of good, or competing minds. You see, if you insert your awareness in flesh and matter while descending into the fiction idea that human minds are competing for supply, you suffer the consequences of blasphemy. As you may recall in Chapter 1, blasphemy is the only unforgivable sin as it requires you to pay the uttermost farthing. When your couch potato human mind sat around and watched TV and news and all other various outer kingdom falsehoods that counterfeit God's relationship to man, material facts appear to be in a perpetual state of war against your happiness. Therefore, the human mind becomes your worst enemy. This blasphemy is the correct definition of committing adultery with this world. You took their images of lack, competition, obstruction of goodness, fear, and imagined wicked ideas as a reality. Satan bound you with human reasoning in the middle place, the human mind, and the 6 degrees of separation in all 3 kingdoms. You observed the outer kingdom, it reached your inner kingdom by troubling your heart, and settled in your middle kingdom, the reasoning mind. Now, since your heart is troubled and all the issues of life arise from the heart, all Satan has to do is torment you with more fear-porn propaganda or ideas of lack, limitation, obstruction to goodness. You ceaselessly rationalize for your own existence. Who's going to do it for me? When will it happen? Why can't I get ahead? What is it going to happen next? Where's my miracle? You see? Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Satan is the darkness of human ignorance in thought that turns away from God's commandment to observe no other gods and have no graven images. The only foothold Satan has is in your thought. Consider this as you proceed, and your human ego mind begins to try and sway you from looking at this piece of paper you just wrote out. Reflecting on the ideas written on your piece of paper is the very antidote to force your human mind into an agreement with God's mind. Repetition is what it takes. Your new daily habit of repetitions throughout the day for a sustained period of at least 30 days will be required in the same way it would take a workout regimen to lose a bunch of excess weight. Now, here's the good news. If you were overweight, I'd pat you on the back and tell you this. You don't have to lose 30 pounds. You only have to adopt the habit to lose 1 pound and repeat it 30 times. Once you have the new habit, you've already sealed your fate. For clarity, the first 5 days of doing this process are all about getting used to the new habit of losing that excess weight of carrying this world's burdens. God's supply comes direct to man, and this truth corrects the false impressions of lack that exist in the deranged idea that you must compete against others in a Hunger Games scenario of existence. You see, the movies and all the other Outer Kingdom programming has beguiled those in the middle place. Cease at once from living as a creature of this world. Become the descendant of God that He engineered you to be, living in His ideas. It begins with the decision to ignore your reasoning mind as nothing but ego mind and its false presumptions based on hypnotic sorcery from the outer aeons and the rulers who deceive at every turn. The first 5 days of repetition with this new I am statement on a piece of paper you carry with you is to get the momentum going in your favor. Your only work is to sink into the feeling of being happy and ready for more, accepting what you are reading as the idea of God's substance as your supply. I repeat, your only work is to sink into the feeling of being happy and ready for more, accepting what you are reading as the idea of God's substance as your supply. You will settle this in your thought by agreeing with a divine truth once and for all. After the first 5 days, you will continue doing this same process for at least 30 days. A failure to do this implies that your ego resistance is more compelling to you than the receiving of your desire to manifest more money. In this case, you choose to opt out and give in to the outer kingdom living once again. Notice how the choice was always in your free will. You're so rich that you can cast yourself into a position of bondage to ideas of competing minds, limited supply, and sweat of the brow human willfulness. No judgment here, but I want to give you fair warning. Your ego is going to do its best to convince you that what I'm suggesting is a waste of time, tedious, and ineffective, perhaps even a burden far worse than staying stuck in your current circumstances. When this happens, as your ego becomes troubled because you are taking attention off this world that it perceives as ever so real, the ego mind will hold you in contempt for what it perceives as nonsense. It is at this point that you are drawing very near to your breakthrough in consciousness. As Marshall McLuhan described as the medium being the message, Clotaire Rapaille alleges that the structure is the message. In the message that you are sending yourself over these first 5 days, as you repeat this process at least 5 or more times each day, you are turning within to correct thought and emotion. No longer are you wandering like the prodigal son in human reasoning of who, what, when, where, why, and how things will get accomplished. You begin to trust instead. Your new structure is the foundation of the daily habits that will permanently transform every aspect of your life. You won't have to be amazed at other people's success stories or upset that you're not figuring things out. Changing your structure is the ultimate shortcut. Once you have adopted the new habit of going within, correcting thought, and managing your state of being, you will be victorious in virtually everything you put your mind towards achieving. After the first 5 days, assuming you did not miss a day or two, it will be time to add on the implementation of the ABC break process, stacked on top of this new structure of reviewing your I am statement 5 times a day. You will carry this technique forward for the remaining 25 days, extending your time for each repetition of the structure of turning within for an additional 1 minute. It only takes 1 minute to perform the ABC break process, and the use of this technique will enhance your results exponentially. This chapter's video training will show you a precise and straightforward way to apply this technique for a minute of pure pleasure as you perfect your new structured routine. Do you think you could squeeze out a total of 15 minutes per day to master your thought life and vibrational state of being? If so, I would like to invite you to become fully integrated with all the same techniques that I have used repeatedly with extraordinary success. I am statement on a piece of paper, the ABC break process, safe touch, and self-entrainment technique, or SETs. After investing hundreds of thousands of dollars into my search for the best methods to enhance my life, I've distilled it all down to these 4 rituals, daily rituals. Beginning at the lowest point where I was bedridden and bankrupt with Lyme disease to manifesting a 7-figure income online and training like a pro athlete, these techniques are the best of the best. You see, I am alluring you to consider turning your attention away from chasing the goddess of wealth and instead pursuing the goddess of wisdom. When you do this, the goddess of wealth becomes jealous and follows you for a lifetime. In total, once you have mastered these techniques and perfected them in the right sequence throughout your day, you are what I call a spiritual special forces operator. Elite and advanced training is the difference between accomplishing the razor's edge victory and being mediocre. I have discovered this. If you immerse yourself in a boot camp training where you master the fundamentals of operating yourself at the highest levels, getting on an effective team makes your chances of success far more significant. In November of 2019, Allow Ministries conducted its first Spiritual Special Forces workshop in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. We reunited in December of 2020 online to certify a group of facilitators to complete an online team boot camp training. This training is called the Spiritual Millionaire Boot Camp. During these aggressive workshops, you gain the exposure of a spiritual special forces operator's oversight who has mastered these skills. A certified SSF operator has to have completed boot camp training and demonstrated the attainment of their goal or goals set using the techniques you are now learning. Also, an SSF operator walks you through a series of what we call matrix recoding steps. The result is a laser-like precision focus on perfecting your mission's execution. The benefits of being challenged, trained in a step-by-step process, and accountable to complete the tasks are available to you at allowuniversity.com. Find out more about these boot camp experiences. I wanted to put that out there for you if you're sitting in your seat right now and cannot wait to start applying our proven techniques. I find it far more enjoyable to begin a new goal or mission with immersion tactics, such as our Spiritual Millionaire Boot Camp. This results getting immersion secret is why I host these boot camps and facilitate them a few times each year. When I am ready to begin a new project, book, business, or even physical workout regimen, I jump in an immersion training for the dramatic increase in results it yields for my overall success. With that said, it's an excellent place to start right here, right now, to carry on with your 30-day assignment. After the first 5 days, my regimen looks like this. Again, 8 o'clock, wake up. Read the piece of paper in my wallet, slowly and with a feeling of appreciation for having already received. I do a safe touch technique. I perform a set or a series of sets to scale up the fruit of the Spirit behind my manifestation. 10 o'clock, I finish writing. Again, I repeat the process, the I am statement, sinking into the feeling and appreciation of having already received, and I include an ABC break process. 1 o'clock, heading to the gym, about to start a workout. Repeat the process, include the ABC break process. 3 o'clock, about to start more work at the office. Again, pull out the goal card in the wallet, repeat the process, and include the ABC break process. And I do a set, if necessary, to make sure that my vibrational alignment is scaling up. 4:30, heading outside to do a run. Repeat the process and include an ABC break process. 7 o'clock, ready to begin working on video editing. Again, repeat the process and include the ABC break process. 10 o'clock, going to bed, repeat the process, and do a safe touch technique. Now you can see the routine I call 5522. It represents the following: 5 times per day for the I am goal card statement reviewing, 5 times per day stacking on top of it, an ABC break process, 2 times a day, morning and before bed, safe touch technique to drop all guilt and shame. No more call for self-condemnation or punishment. 2 times a day, self-entrainment technique. Maintain and scale up vibrational alignment to match the desired outcome. In total, this takes about 15 to 30 minutes each day. It's not a lot to ask for the incredible results I've achieved in performing daily habits that keep my vibrational alignment and thoughts elevated. Not only that, doing an ABC break process before taking action towards accomplishing your daily tasks allows you to come from the solution and not the problem. Again, this chapter is about how to manifest money. Instead of manipulating things in our outer kingdom, we turn our attention toward the inner game of drawing out wealth. Once you have aligned your vibrational state of being and elevated your thoughts into a solution-based awareness, your outer action becomes much more efficient. When you assume the position of lack or want, all of your outer actions carry this vibration. Therefore, what you sow is what you reap. Most people do little to zero inner game work before carrying out their daily activities. Unbeknownst to them, every action is a seed that carries its information and transmits a signal to the field of all possibilities by the vibrational resonance. If we cease looking at the world from a linear time frame perspective that has you standing in separation from the desired outcome, we collapse the space and retract the loss of inertia and energy. I'm saying this: if you mentally distance yourself in time and space by imagining yourself in a linear timeline, the further out you imagine, the more loss of inertia and power occur. Now let me share with you what this feels like so you're aware of the differences. Imagine that if you have a goal set of earning $1 million in the next 12 months, assumptively, you will begin in ignorance by asking who, what, when, where, why, and how. Your human ego mind creates time and space by your 5 physical senses reporting to you a perception of life as happening to you, in a way. The further away you feel from having already achieved this goal, the more resistance loops you will unwittingly create by human reasoning, which is always creating time and space illusion. Noticing the perplexity of confusion, you can see why most people do not set realistic goals or achieve their goals. It may baffle you to discover that a realistic goal has nothing to do with the attaining of a snapshot experience in time and space, as this often leaves you empty inside once you cross the finish line and wonder, what's next? If you have experienced this phenomenon, you're aware of what I'm saying. If you want to set a worthy goal that does not bring unintended consequences or sudden letdowns in your experience of life, you align with what life is seeking. All deficiencies we experience from our human standpoint are the consequence of denying God's love and His fruits of the Spirit. With this revelation in mind, notice it applies to chasing after the goddess of wisdom as opposed to the goddess of wealth. Most people think they live in a world where it's all up to their efforts for sustenance, fighting for the scraps in world circumstances stacked against them. And as long as they remain in pursuit of the goddess of wealth, they're 100% correct. Chase they may, but she will forever elude them. When I did the opposite and made the pursuit of expressing joy in every moment, regardless of the fallout, life handed over its bounty to me in magical ways. When I say regardless of the fallout, I'm referring to the human mind and its propensity for consulting fiction in past and future dramatizations like a drunken fortune teller. The human mind argues that your fiduciary duty as an officer of the corporate vessel, you know as your physical body, and the cares thereof, should be reasonable and governed by its logic. Consider the source, I say. The human mind is always wandering like the prodigal son in time and space and creating a loss of power, loss of inertia, drunkenness, and confusion. In the words of Bashar, as channeled by Daryl Anka, the human mind is a steering wheel that is unattached to the vehicle. Imagine the folly of it all. You have been circling the wheel, and instead, to allow Jesus to take the wheel is precisely what I'm suggesting that you do. 15 to 30 minutes per day is all it takes. A worthy goal is not the objects of this world, as they are unworthy of you. Should you begin to understand your true nature to God, you'd see that you are the offspring or reflection of His fruits of the Spirit, which are the worthy goals to aim for, as in expressing them from your heart. And you can have them now. Matthew 6:33 gives you the secret to having your heart's desire fulfilled. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Let me share this with you so it's crystal clear once and for all. Kingdom. A king is a ruler, one who descends from noble birth. Birth means to carry, to bear children. Well, are you not the child of God? The last part of the word kingdom, the D-O-M, means cognate, comes from cognate with German tum. Okay, it's Old High German T-U-O-M. It means jurisdiction, hence province, state, condition, or quality. Okay? Now, you see the words that matter here. God called Himself the Word, so words matter to reflect God's state, condition, and quality as a divine being created in His image and likeness. You must bear His fruits. You see, God bears you as the child, and His state and condition are the fruits of the Spirit. So if you're the image and likeness, then you must reflect what God is doing and bear those fruits. Or you're not the image and likeness of God. Chasing after the illusions of a material world that is 99.9997% empty space is quite a marvel if you consider the source of your desire to pursue and chase after the cares of this world. This desire is an error in reason that argues for a deficiency in the perception of lack or ignorance of the Father. All is within yourself. I am the mighty presence within you. You don't chase the things of this world. Stop and correct the ignorance in mind, causing God's reflection of His fruits of the Spirit to cease radiating from within your heart. Regardless of the fallout, stop and correct. God's treasures are everlasting riches for those who set their hearts entirely upon Him. Once you have this down, you come full circle to the beginning of teaching within this chapter. Surround yourself with excellence and avoid the plague of dystopian messengers from the outer aeons who are double-minded in all their ways. If you spot check your vibration and align with the highest expression of what God is doing, manifesting as your heart radiating His fruits of the Spirit, all outer activity carries this power. In less than 30 minutes each day, you can be dialing in the habits of a spiritual special forces operator armed with wisdom in a fearful world of ignorance. The hardest work in the world is to know thyself. Ignorance of the Father is the reason for all the strife on this planet. Fear will come upon you to attempt to shake you out, like a pair of weak hands in a winner-takes-all card game. Yes, the stakes are incredibly high in this game, and you're here because wisdom has chosen you. You are being called to ascend to the Father, and accepting this call implies the rulers of the outer aeons forever lose their stronghold on you. Do you trust God? You will learn to rely solely on God or Source, whatever your preference for reference to divinity itself happens to be. Nothing else will fill the void in your heart, and no other goal is worthy of you. The sooner you remain unattached to the comings and goings of material objects in your world, including the people around you, with intense gratitude for His love as all sufficiency in all things, the faster your life reflects the kingdom of heaven. Daily habits are the determining factor of whether you'll walk in victory or be swept back into ignorance again. My suggestion, adopt the habits I've laid out for you and the associated techniques. I've proven them during the worst of times in my life, going from bedridden and bankrupt to manifesting abundance in all areas and harmonious well-being. These techniques are battle-tested and step-by-step spiritual solutions for applying wisdom to human problems. Money is a very important necessity for your outer life, and the way to obtain it is to pursue wisdom. Once you burn this into your mind, you're halfway there. Once you dial in the habits to radiate God's will and reflect His fruits of the Spirit within every seed action you perform, the law of compensation will see to the rest.